What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe. A little weird with the background right now. I understand. Don't worry, things are getting back to normal. Since our move last week, a new studio is going to be built behind where I am sitting. So stay tuned for that in the next few weeks. Until then, I apologize for the um, the very plain background that sits behind me. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, we have to talk about the Liberals. They've been a little naughty. And in fact, as we left Calgary earlier this week, the Liberals dropping one of their Calgary representatives, which doesn't shock me. He wasn't going to get elected anyways because Calgary, despite its woke installed mayors, usually don't vote Liberal. It's time we discuss, though, what is going on as a Liberal has been naughty. Naughty. Failed to disclose some documents. Let's get straight into it. If you guys are enjoying the content, I want to remind you to make sure you hit that subscribe button. Since censorship is going to be at an all-time high, the Liberals are cheating. We're going to have more videos on that, as exactly how they're cheating and how they're rigging this election. They're going to be doing everything in their power to make sure that you're not getting the information you need. So now is the time. If you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, hit that button. Turn on your bell for all notifications. Do that with every political channel you follow. Let's make this a blitzkrieg of new subscribers for all channels to make sure that you guys get the news you need. This article coming out, we're going to cover one actually from the Clown Broadcasting Corporation, the CBC, because it's always funny to hear how they put a spin on things. As it states here that the Liberals dropped their Calgary candidate over a failure to disclose 2005 state domestic assault charges. Now, people will say, hey, this is back in 2005. It's 20 years ago. Doesn't matter. You still have to disclose those things. It says here, Thomas Keeper was announced as Calgary Confederation candidate earlier this month, but the Liberal has dropped its candidate in Calgary due to the candidate's failure to disclose a 20-year-old SA or DS domestic assault charge. I was almost going to say SA, but this is just domestic. That stayed 6 weeks after it was laid, CBC News later had learned. Thomas Keeper, a 49-year-old real estate broker in Calgary. Isn't that funny? That usually seems to be the folks who get into politics, whether they're real estate brokers, lawyers, accountants, etc. But a real estate broker in Calgary was announced as Liberal candidate in Calgary Confederation on March 11th. Court records show that Keeper was charged with common assault in June 6th of 2005. The complaint was Keeper's wife at the time. Yikes. According to divorce records. The charge was stayed on July 20th, however, a couple weeks later, just over 6 weeks after it was laid. CBC News asked Keeper for more details about the charge, but he's not responded to a request for comment. So again, that doesn't mean that it didn't happen. It just means that the charges were stayed. Now, it could have been a lack of proof. It could have been a settlement was agreed upon or something to those methods, or it could just be that his wife was looking to stir up some trouble. I highly doubt that. It's a crime to report false domestic assault, and also I would tend to believe that a Liberal would behave like that. That's just my personal opinion. It says here, this information was not disclosed to the party, and Mr. Keeper is no longer a candidate for the Liberal Party of Canada, wrote a spokeswoman for the Liberal Party. The party wouldn't comment on Friday about its plans to seek a new candidate in Calgary Confederation. They don't have time. I'm curious how they would scramble to put somebody in. I don't think they have the time with just 29 days at the time of filming this video until an election. The party faced a similar problem during the last election when it cut ties with Toronto candidate Kevin Vong in 2021 over his failure to disclose SA charges that were ultimately dropped in 2019. Vong won the seat in Spadina, Fort York, and served as an independent before announcing he wouldn't seek re-election this spring. The Liberal announcement follows recent news that the riding's representative since 2015, Conservative MP Len Weber, wouldn't seek re-election this spring either. The former UCP MLA in Calgary Klein, Jeremy Nixon, is now the riding's Conservative candidate, with Kira Gunn running for the NDP. Lisa Young, a political science professor at the University of Calgary, says that typical political parties have potential candidates fill out long forms answering questions about their past and vet those candidates. So again, they've dropped the ball on doing that. Social media posts as well to identify possible issues. The last thing a political party wants, once they are into the election and once they can't change the candidate, is to have something from that candidate's past become a part of the election, Young said. She added that while the Liberals Wouldn't normally expect to win Calgary Confederation. Recent polling suggests the seat could be in play. It's that much more important than Young said that the party has a candidate who doesn't become a distraction to turn voters away. What's funny is that aside from this article, you haven't seen a ton of coverage about this. Whereas, again, I beg to question if this were the Conservatives, what would we be seeing from the Conservative front? This would be everywhere. It would be posted because these are the mainstream prostitutes that want to keep their jobs and get Mark Carney in office. Quote here says, some of what we have really seen speaks to the relative weakness of the Liberal Party of Canada on the ground in Alberta. They haven't had hotly contested nominations. They haven't had people, identified 6 months in advance who have been knocking on doors up to this point, Young said. Now, Calgary has never really had a strong Liberal candidate. In fact, this seems like a scramble to just get somebody like a butt in a chair in order to try and win a riding. But it says here that there was really a sense that some of the campaign is coming together at the last minute once the election is called. Again, putting a bum in a chair to simply get a vote. It says from here, Young said the party will need to look to the most credible candidate possible who can be vetted quickly to enter the race in Calgary Confederation. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's possible, given that there's only 29 days until election, or at least until the day gets to the polls. That's a reminder, folks, that while a lot of people have said, and a lot of people have said in our live streams, I see it in the comments, I see it in comments on other channels, hey, I don't want to vote. I don't see the point. It's just rigged. Nothing's good's going to come from this election. People are going to be cheating and stalled. We're going to get into all of that. But nonetheless, folks, this is the most important election of our generation. I would be doing a terrible disservice if I did not constantly repeat in the videos to make sure to get your voter registration. Make sure you're in line waiting, even if there's a lineup to vote. This election matters more than anything else. At least if your candidate loses, you can say you did the right thing, you did your due diligence, you voted. Let's try and make this election too big to rig. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think that candidates should be better vetted? Do you think this was a quick scramble to get somebody in a seat? Let me know your thoughts down below. If it's your first time here, again, I hope this video has earned your subscription. Make sure as you're hitting that button again, turn on your bell for all notifications. Join me live here on the channel each and every Friday night for Friday Night Fringe, our live streaming show, and sometimes some surprise streams. But Friday night, nonetheless, I'm joined by my very beautiful wife, Mrs. Fringe, as we go over everything that happened this week in politics, everything we know coming up in the week ahead, as well as back and forth within the greatest YouTube community on the platform. I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say outside of making these videos, and we both look forward to hearing what you have to say this Friday, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, here on the channel. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.